Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Jason, and here I talk about all things story related. And the story of discussion today is one of my own, and it is episode 24. Yes, I've written 24 short stories so far. It's getting crazy, but I'm really having a good time. Of my series, Worth 1,000 Words, where I write a 1,000 word short story based on a piece of artwork. And today I received a submission. My good friend of, man, over 30 years now it's been. I met him in second grade. We've collaborated on a lot of projects, and he sent me a very interesting piece of artwork. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler because I think that I need to explain a little bit about this fantastic artist named, all right, I have a cheat sheet here. He is a Polish artist, and it's very difficult to pronounce his name. It is Zdzisław Beksiński. It is Zdzisław Beksiński. Man, I can't do it. I even have like a phonetic thing I typed out here. But anyway, I discovered this artist some time ago, probably over 10 years ago, and when I saw his work, I was just blown away that I had never seen it before. And it's very reminiscent of H.R. Giger, if you're familiar with his work. But I have the book I bought with me right now, and you can see it here. It's not available anymore on Amazon, sadly. The Fantastic Art of Beksiński. I'll get it one of these times. But anyway, he was an artist. I believe it was, he started in the 60s and went up until the time of his death. He had a very tragic death. He was actually murdered in 2005 or 2006. I can't quite remember. But he graduated as an architect, and he's a completely self-taught artist, which is amazing because his work is just so detailed and so ahead of its time. I can't stress enough how just fantastic this stuff is. Even the desktop wallpaper I have, and I've had for many years, is one of his works, and it's a very haunting, interesting image. And I think I find his stuff even more compelling than Giger, who I discovered first. And I know I normally don't do very famous artists. I do sort of working artists, like concept artists and things like that, because I like to just have the added challenge even of working on stuff that I've never seen before or I'm not exposed to. But I'm really glad I did this one. This was a great exercise for me. It was actually my quickest story I'd ever written in this series. And I'll talk about that more in the final thoughts, but and why I think it was a great experiment and an interesting exercise in that from a storycraft perspective. But before we get there, before you actually see the artwork, let's talk about the music. So with something this dark, with something this bleak, with something this just dystopian, I had to go to my old friend Lustmord, and I listened to his latest album called Trinity. He is probably the darkest and creepiest sounding ambient musician there is, and anytime I need to get into that headspace, he is who I go to. All right, why don't you come with me to a hellscape, a nightmarescape, and any other scape you can think of that will keep you up at night, and check out today's artwork. Today's artwork is titled Crawling Death, and it is by a Polish artist named, now let me try this again, Zdzisław Beksiński. All right, that was probably terrible, but let's take a look at this piece. As you know, I have his art book and I was immediately captivated by his work when I saw it online and rushed out to buy the only art book that was available at the time. And now that art book is no longer available. But let's take a look. So we have a city burning. We have this character in the foreground, a twisted person. I mean, they have the amount of fingers of a human, but they're very inhuman to say the least. There's some furniture burning in the background as well. It looks like there's a sign dangling up above, about to fall. Dead insects, it looks like, and other elements, maybe small bones underneath this figure. Now, this being a very dystopian, surrealist painting, I'm not sure where I'm going to go with it. I don't know if I'm going to go literal. I don't know if I'm going to go creepy. There's really nothing else to say. I think the image speaks for itself, and hopefully what I come up with captures the feeling of what you're saying. So thanks, Mike, for the suggestion. And thank you, Mr. Beksiński, for providing such a visionary piece of artwork for your time. I'm still blown away by what you did. All right, let's see what I came up with. Mother had always called me a dog. Before I knew what a dog was, faint memories of her barking in my face, snarling, mouth dripping, or were those images I concocted? It's funny how memory works. Before I could walk, which I suppose I was then to a degree, crawling with my nose to the ground, putting any vile thing in my mouth, to explore the world that most people trampled, uncaring. Before the city burned. It still burns, endlessly. I don't hate her for it. A game, maybe, for her. Alone in such a small apartment with an infant. No one else to keep her company, to converse with. You can't converse with an infant. All you hear is yourself, and perhaps the pop of saliva bubbles. Giggles if you're lucky. I'm not sure if I laughed much as a child. I'm not sure if children laugh. I have heard stories. But there are few people left to tell stories, fewer by the day. I hear voices, though, so many, far away usually. Sometimes I will hear a soul perish outside my window. Soul. Mother used to call them that, when we'd watch them burst into flame, or be cut down and then lit on fire. It was a custom to be burned, even for those who killed. She told me it was believed that a soul traveled on the smoke rising from the deceased. Deceased. I like that word. I like words you can break to discern the meaning of by analyzing their respective parts. Cease living. D. The Greek or Latin prefix meaning off or from. Cut off from living. I learned that from a book. There aren't many books anymore. They burn more easily than people. Now, where was I? Many places, I suppose. I have to be, because I am only in one place. I cannot leave. The streets are dangerous. The air is dangerous. I have a fan that runs off a generator. Funny that I can still find fuel. I think that's called irony. The thing that burns most is still abundant. Abundant is the wrong word. Somewhere between abundant and scarce. That is where fuel is. It sounds like I'm speaking of actual locations. Streets, maybe. I'd say, yes, fuel can be found between abundant avenue and scarce street. Alliteration, that, I think. I do think. It's mostly all I can do. I told you I can't leave, remember? Yes, I think I did. If you're still listening, I hope you are. Now, where was I? Somewhere. On the third floor between two burning ones. If it were winter, I might be happy. I am happy. It is a winter of sorts. Flakes fall from the sky, not white. Grays and browns, sometimes reds. Yellow embers, which I pretend is the sun crying because it misses me. And I tell the sun I miss it. That's when the embers usually stop falling. Usually. And I think I made the sun happy. I know I made the sun happy. Now, where was I? In my room, because there is a window there. We have a window in the living room too, but mine has a better view. I can see a sign that just won't fall. It's been burning for ages, rocked by powerful gusts of wind from the storms that pass by daily and force me to close my window and hide under my bed, because it might be the only safe place in this world. Monsters used to live under beds. I heard that once. I've been here a long time, and the only monsters I see are outside my window. Sometimes they see me. And when they do, I hide under my bed, because I've discovered monsters are afraid of what hides under beds. Now, where was I? Not under my bed, that's for sure. I'm at the window, in my room, because it has the best view. We have another window. Wait, I told you that already? I apologize. I don't like it when people repeat themselves. Repetition is the enemy of something. Or do I have that wrong? Probably. There aren't many books anymore. Now, where was I? On my balcony. Yes, today I braved the outside. I've learned to breathe ash, I think. It feels like I have. I forgot to mention the balcony. A fire escape, they were called. That's funny. More irony. There is no escape from this fire. But I am at the window, because I must watch Mother. Oh yes, Mother is still here. She finds things. I made her able to find things. She inspired me when I was a child. She called me dog, so I made her one when I was bigger and stronger than her. Now, where was I? She hunts. No, scavenges. How did I make her a dog, you ask? It's a secret. But I can tell you if you promise not to tell anyone else. All right. I let the fire burn her, little by little. It changed her skin and her bones. It made them resilient against the outside. I made her a coat of ash for the more dangerous days. She had a small nose, so I tried to make her a bigger one, like a dog's. It didn't work. It never stops bleeding. That's okay, because I found gauze, the whitest thing I've ever seen. She keeps it clean. And when she doesn't, I punish her and she knows to never let it get dirty again. She's a good dog, Mother is. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, Mother. See, I'm on track, always on track. There used to be tracks. It's how I gave her extra joints, breaking them there, again, again, again. It's surprising what the human body can adapt to. Oh, here she comes. I can't wait to see what she brought for me to eat and her to watch me eat. I never let her eat. Bad dog. Now, where was I? I think for obvious reasons, a dog came to mind. I mean, this character we have in the foreground is on all fours, just completely desiccated, and that's the first thing that I thought of was a dog, and I thought, Mother had always called me a dog, and I think the first thing that popped into my head was maybe the transformation of our narrator into this character. So he had lived a life, a normal life, presumably at one point, and this world had, and circumstances, I guess, have twisted him into this thing. But as you've heard the story already, I went somewhere else. I made him turn his mother into this. And so it's a bit of a revenge story in a way. But I don't think he's really, I even say it right here, that he doesn't blame her because, she was alone. She raised him by herself with no one else to converse with. And so she kind of went a little mad, I guess, and created her own games. And that's what I start creating the repetition here as well as the before I could walk, before the city burned. I like doing that for effect. And I think I'm discovering the voice of the narrator, which I really enjoyed writing toward the end. And this was by far a record-breaking story for me. The quickest one I'd ever written. I believe episode 1 was something around 48 minutes, and this one was under that. So something about the voice of the character really just came to me, and I was able to just crank the words out quickly and create a rhythm and a story all the same. And so what I wanted to do is, describe the world in the beginning, describe the origins of this character, kind of seed something. Mother had always called me a dog, meaning, that has to come into play at some point. And it does, as you know. And so I'm talking here, he doesn't blame her. She was alone. As I said, you can't converse with a child. You hear yourself. And then he hears voices, so many, far away usually. Sometimes I hear a soul will perish. And he's just kind of reminiscing almost about his thoughts on this place and what goes on about it. And like I said, just all this imagery came to me based on this picture here because it is extremely vivid. And just whatever it was, this in combination with the music I was listening to, pulled out all the weird stuff out of my head. And I wouldn't say the story is particularly odd. I think maybe the narrator's voice makes it feel lighter than the subject matter, and that does lend itself to be a little bit more creepy. At least I think so. I wanted to play with his madness a little bit. or his perceived madness, I should say. So when he's talking about deceased, I have him dissect the word a little bit, and you learn more that, I learned it from a book. There aren't many books anymore. They burn more easily than people. And I think that because we are looking at a city that is engulfed in flame is quite an interesting statement. And here I start with the now. Well, it says no, where was I? But I meant now, where was I? I didn't really know where I was going with that. I thought that maybe this character was going to be just telling a story in kind of a non-linear way and going on tangents, which he does, and then having to come back to what he was saying over and over and over again. And it's funny, I think I didn't really know it yet at this point that I wanted that kind of repetition, but it really, for me, added a lot of fun to the writing because it's he even says, I hate repetition, I don't respect it, and then ironically he repeats himself. And I like this paragraph above here where I don't know where this came from either. It sounds like I'm speaking of actual location, streets maybe. Fuel can be found between Abundant Avenue and Scarce Street. Once again, more tangents, more odd observations from this character we have here. And is this a document? Is this is he recounting this to someone maybe he has imprisoned in his apartment? I don't know. But and here we go again. Now, where was I? Somewhere on the third floor between two burning ones. And I equate the falling ash in the sky to snow, and also that the sun is no longer there or no longer visible. And I think that's apparent from the image that there is no sun. And now I'm going and starting to describe the actual location where we find this character. And also looking at the image here, and I see this sign in the upper left-hand side of the image. At least I think it is. I'm not quite sure, but it looks like a street sign dangling, and so that's what I went with. And what I loved most about writing this is that it just seemed to flow. Like the nonsensical stuff this character said just popped into my head, and I was able to go with it. And there was, I was discovering a speech pattern there, again with the repetition. Now, where was I? And this is when he says, wait, I told you that already. I apologize. I don't like it when people repeat themselves. And it's almost as if he's analyzing what he's telling you. It's almost like he's hearing himself speak, I think. But then that in itself gets him to think about, or leads him to think about other things. And we're moving further outside of the apartment where he learns to breathe ash. And once again, a fire escape, and that popped into my head is that, wow, the entire world or the city is on fire. So that is pretty ironic. And then I knew I had to bring mother back, and we're coming up on 800 words here, and I knew I needed to. By now, I did know I wanted mother to be the character we see in the image, not our narrator. And so I was really running out of words here, so I know I needed to wrap it up and describe her. And for a little bit, I wasn't sure if I would leave some mystery to it, because I think that that's what's some of the most interesting stuff about this painting is that it asks so many questions, right? It's almost better to not know the answers. I did answer it. I felt like I needed some kind of cohesive close to the whole thing because the image is so just abstract in a way. There's so many weird elements of, is this real? Is it unreal? What is he trying to say here as an artist? And I really don't know. I kind of went a little more literal with it. And I think that was more fun. I didn't want to get too pretentious. I just thought it would be fun to imagine what this world is like and who lives in it and what is this creature we see in the foreground. And here, see, I'm on track. It's almost as if he's losing his track. And then that word, see, I'm on track, made me think of train tracks. There used to be tracks. That's how I gave her extra joints, because I wanted to look at this image and go through everything I saw, meaning you can see there's a weird extra joint on the hind leg. So that's what that was about. And then this head looks like it's wrapped in gauze or cobwebs even, and the bloodied face. And so I was just picking my way through that and describing it. And luckily, this wasn't a massive rewrite. In the second read through, I really was mostly happy with what I had, and now I'm just trying to get it down to 1,000 because I did go over a bit. And the challenging thing here was that you because it is a very conversational tone, omitting things was a little bit more difficult because I liked so much of it. I felt like the weird repetition and the run-on sentences were a great indicator of the character of our narrator. But yeah, I'm coming to the end very quickly. 37 minutes in, and I surprised even myself. I was like, "Holy shit, I'm actually wrapping this up." And I think this was probably one of the most fun times I've had writing one of these because it allowed me to create this very strange character and speak in his voice and put it sort of just through the lens of what you're seeing in this image. And those are really the most fun ones, I think. And I love that I kind of left it hanging open to right now. Where was I? Meaning he's just going to keep endlessly going on and on and on and on. And really, this is not the end of the story. This is a small glimpse into this world and who this person is. And who knows if they'll even exist for much longer because Mother is not doing so hot based on the image. And yeah, one word to cut, I think. And second to last or third to last paragraph. And that is it. Completed. 1,000 words. Oh, wait. One more tweak. One more tweak. Bad dog. Welcome to the end, dear viewer. I'm so glad you made it. And I realize I've been saying that every time and it's become a thing, but whatever. So what did I think about this story? Well, as I said, it was the quickest one I'd ever written. And I think from a writing craft standpoint, I think what that illuminated for me was finding the character's voice. I think that when I discovered the way this character spoke and that he was kind of mad in a way, it really just let the words flow for me. I felt like I was literally recording what he was saying to me. And I know a lot of writers have said that in the past. When you truly know your characters, you're just recording what they say. And I really felt that here. And it's kind of a rare instance because I think that there was no narrative description, really. It was all from his perspective, as if, he was sitting with you in this room telling you this story. And I think that a lot of times when you write standard third person or even first person, you get tripped up, or at least I get tripped up, kind of balancing dialogue with narrative description. And because it was just kind of just a single flowing narration from this character, that it just came out super quick and required very little cleanup on my part, most of which was just to get the word count down. Now, I'm not saying it's a perfect story by any stretch. Anything can be improved. And I'm sure when I go back to this and read it later down the road, I'll probably think it's garbage or a lot of things can be improved anyway. But I think that would be a great exercise. I mean, find a voice that maybe feels comfortable for you to write in. So for me, apparently it's a crazy guy in a hellish landscape. That's my muse, I guess. I don't know, maybe someone you identify or someone who you just feel like is a natural extension of your own self as far as the way their language might go, or just really someone that is easily pictured in your mind. And I think it would be a great exercise to just write in that character's voice and to help figure them out. Because I think another thing is that this is a great character study, right? I know a lot of times, and I've done it in the past, where you just kind of write from a character's POV to try to discover who they are and figure their story out, but before committing them to the real story. And as I said earlier in the narration or the read over, I wasn't really sure if I was going to be literal with it, like what you see is what you get, or be a little bit more abstract with it, which presumably is what the artist is trying to do. He's trying to tell us a story that isn't a literal one. But I went literal. I thought that, like, well, what would someone be like who lived in this landscape? Like, would they be just completely terrified and tormented the whole time? Or because, as I mentioned previously, experience is relative. And clearly, this character wasn't completely horrified with what he had done or the world he lived in, and he seemed to be very aware of it. He also could have gone mad, and I think that that's probably the easiest explanation, even though he is of sound mind in other areas. his perceptions of what he's done and what he's become have become warped to someone like you or me. At least I hope so. But that's it. This one was a great one. Thanks again, Mike. I really like this piece of artwork. And now on that note, don't forget, if you have a piece of artwork you admire, or one you've even drawn yourself, please send it my way. I'd love to write a story about it. I'd love to see things that I may not be exposed to on a normal basis, because I think with this series you can see clearly what my aesthetic is, the kinds of images I'm drawn to, and I'm open to anything. And if you'd like to support the channel, please give it a like if you like the video, and consider subscribing if you like story-related content. I cover all of that here. And also drop a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the video. Any kind of feedback is always welcome. And I even wrote a book. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere ebooks are sold. Please check the description down below. And it is completely free, but any reviews and downloads are much appreciated. That's it for me. Keep reading, keep writing, and I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye. If you'd like to read the story in its non-video format, check the link in the description. I didn't edit anything else, promise. Thanks again.